Hey everybody, welcome back to the Unsung Podcast. Today I am joined by Laura. She is a incredibly strong woman who's solo climbed over 600 peaks and over 1,000 with other people. And just going through the website and all these things, I said I had to talk to this woman. So here we are. Welcome to my little show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk with you. I'm excited to see where this goes.
So let's start right at the beginning. Your first peak. How in the world did you get into that? And when did it become like an addiction for you, kind of?
Well, I've been a hiker my whole life, but I've also been a Girl Scout leader for over 20 years. And I was leading a group of girls who were in their early teens, and they'd asked me if I would take them up Pikes Peak. And Pikes Peak is a 14,000-foot peak in Colorado. It's kind of iconic. A lot of people know what it is, and they wanted to hike it. So I said, yes, absolutely. I'm one of those leaders that as long as it's not illegal and we can do it safely, we're going to do it. We're going to do whatever the girls want. So they wanted to hike this peak, and we made it a 3 day backpacking trip. And on our second day, a storm came in and a really, really bad storm. I mean, it was August when we did it. We weren't expecting winter weather because this was like the end of our summer. That wasn't normal. And we got 6 inches of snow. Luckily for us, we were Girl Scouts. We were prepared. The girls knew emergency survival. They had extra food. They had shelter. We were good. This is a very popular peak, and people kept coming in needing help. We had 7 people ended up straggling in. Like some had altitude sickness, some had no food, some were wearing sandals. I mean, so when it's snowing, their feet are not doing well. And the girls and I together just ended up saving these people. We started fires for them. We shared our food. We're like, hey, we have, 6 sleeping bags. We can double up in ours and maybe give them, the extras kind of thing so they can stay warm overnight. They ended up getting the Red Cross Hometown Hero of the Year award for youth. It was an amazing experience. And I kind of said, you know what? I like this mountain. This is a fun mountain. I want to do it again. So I asked all my friends to hike with me and to do it with me. And for a couple of weeks, I got people to do it. Now, this is a 26-mile round trip hike with 7,500 feet of elevation gain. And eventually I ran out of friends willing to hike this with me. So I started doing it solo because I loved it. I mean, I could do this trip in 7 hours round trip. I could drop my kids off for school, do this loop, this, marathon pretty much, and come back and still pick up my kids from school. And it was great. And one time I was coming down, I'd probably done Pikes Peak like a couple dozen times. And a lady looks at me and she goes, so how many other 14ers have you done? And I looked at her and said, what's a 14er? I had no idea that this was a big deal, that Colorado had had 58 14ers in the state, that there were other places that I could hike. And then it just became an obsession. I don't just have to do Pikes Peak. There's a ton of other ones in my state that I can do as well. And it just, yeah, it became an addiction. I just started doing it over and over and over again. And I finished all 58 14ers in 13 months and realized that there's about 600 13ers. And I went, cool, let's do those. Like, let's just keep going. It, it just kind of started organically, but from taking a group of Girl Scouts backpacking.
That's insane. They probably have memories from that that'll last them like the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. That can never be taken away from them. I mean, they've got these awards. We live in Colorado Springs. They got the Spirit of the Springs Award from the mayor. They got to miss school for that, which was huge for them, and then come back with medals. And they did a good job. They used their outdoor survival skills in a real life situation. So you train for these things, right? But you don't ever expect them to happen. And it was really cool to see them diagnose what was going on and know how to help these other people and be willing to help these other people that really needed it at the time.
So when all that happened, I'm assuming you finished the hike after that.
We did, yeah. Because it was a freak snowstorm. Mountains make their own weather, so it was 6 inches of snow. But by the next morning in Colorado, it warmed up. So it was really just keeping these people comfortable for the night, so they weren't going to get hypothermic. We did have somebody come in hypothermic, but the girls were able to warm that person up, and they were good. And the next morning, we all trekked back down together, and everybody was okay.
Wow. So that must have been really cool when you all got to the top together after going through that. It's almost I
Well,
don't
actually, this happened. Since this was a 3 day trip, we had already summited. And we were kind of like, it was 13 miles to the top, but at about 10 miles, there's a place you can camp. And that's where we had set up our tents and stuff. And so we'd already summited and came back down. And that's when the weather hit. And that's when
Um,
everybody came in. So, but summiting was huge too. It was their first time doing a 14er. It was my first time doing a 14er. And you don't realize how that affects you, how the lack of oxygen affects you. And you can only take 10 steps and you have to stop to breathe because it's hard. And it was wonderful to see them working together. We were going over snowdrifts and helping people and seeing them wanting to be part of a team, and everybody's going to make it. Everybody's going to make this mountain. And if you need to stop, we're going to stop, but we got to keep going because if we don't keep going, we're not going to make it. And having them all make it to the top was fantastic.
it's unreal. So how long ago was that?
That was actually in 2014,
Um,
2014. And I didn't really become a mountaineer until 2017. That's because, like I said, I had done Pikes Peak every week. It was just like my Friday routine. I did it dozens and dozens of times before I really found out that there were more mountains out there. And then I got excited because there's a ton of other ones and they're different. I mean, Pikes Peak is amazing, but it is a class one trail where you're pretty much following a trail to the top. Some of the other 14ers are not. I mean, you're scrambling and rock climbing and stuff like that. And it was a whole new activity. Like it was a whole new part to the activity of hiking where I can challenge my skills. I can do something more difficult. I can go on a place with no trail and still figure out where I'm going and stay safe and still summit.
I've never climbed a mountain. I've cheated once. I used a gondola in Banff,
Okay.
Alberta. It just goes up the side of this giant mountain. The first thing I did when I got to the top, I just started screaming out to see what the echo was like. That's
Okay.
something you do all the time, or
Well, I'm solo. Sometimes I do. On the really hard ones, I will. I'll be just like, yeah, I did that. Like, because there's nobody else around to hear
yeah.
kind of thing. Pikes Peak is a pretty popular mountain, so you can drive to the top if you want to. So there's always people at the top, but the hike up and down is 26 miles round trip. So if you do the hike, that's bragging rights, right? Like you didn't drive to the top, but when you get up there, I mean, there's a donut shop and there's a train that'll take you back down if you need it.
So what was the first time like when you did a solo climb and you're on a peak and there's absolutely nobody around, just you and this giant mountain? What's that?
Okay,
That's gonna be a weird feeling in your head.
yeah, so the first time I was scared. Because I had done Pikes Peak so many times and I couldn't find somebody to go with me, so I'm like, I'm just going to do it solo. And my oldest was 18 at the time, and she had done Pikes Peak. She was one of the girls that helped rescue all those other people, and she's like, "Mom, you should just go. You should just go." And this is a peak you have to start early in the morning, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, because you need to get down before thunderstorms hit and the weather comes in. Just to stay safe, you need to start it early and end it early. And I was a little worried about going by myself. And she's like, "Oh, no, no, no. If something happens, if you're not back in time, I'll come find you." Now, knowing my 18-year-old, she was not going to come find me. She would like stand at the trailhead and call my name and then call search and rescue. But at least I had somebody out there that knew what I was doing. So I start this peak in the dark, early in the morning, and it was a little scary. I'd never hiked solo before in the dark, and I could hear the wind whistling, and it was cold, and I came across several animals along the way. But then I kept hiking and hiking and hiking, and eventually the sun came out, and it was easier. It was easier. And this was a trail I had already done before. There's a lot of peaks now at this point. I rarely do a peak I've already done. I'm now looking for the new ones kind of thing. And I've gotten over the whole being scared solo. I've got my trekking pole, which a lot of people think is just for stability. I don't need it for stability. I'm very fit. I don't need it for that, but it is a really nice 4 to 5 foot weapon that you can have if you are scared. Or if you see or hear animals that you want to scare off, you can just take your trekking pole and knock it across rocks or trees and it will scare anything away. But it gives you a little 4 to 5 foot window of defense if something's coming at you. Um, but yeah, I was scared the first time. At this point, not so much anymore. I'm just used to it. It's just okay. If I'm starting at 3, the sun will rise around 6:30 or 7. I just get to hike, until that happens, and then the sun rises. And the sunrises are amazing above tree line.
Oh
Absolutely
man.
amazing.
Have you ever done any outside of the country yet?
I've done a couple, but nothing. to shake a stick at, nothing huge. Next week, I'm going to South America and I'm going to attempt a couple peaks there. But most of mine have been in North America.
Okay.
And that's a money issue. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so it's just getting out there to do it
Oh,
is
well,
harder.
you never know who's listening. I get quite a lot of downloads from Singapore for some reason. I don't know what's going on over there, but I'm sure
There
they
you go.
got
Yeah.
some nice mountains, maybe. I don't
Yeah, it's not for lack of wanting. It's more
No,
lack of money.
for
In
sure.
Colorado, we have amazing mountains and a ton of them. And I've done road trips all across the United States and some in Canada, and that's doable for me. But the whole overseas thing is a little more difficult. But we'll see what
Yeah.
happens in South America next month.
Yeah, there's some pretty good mountains here in Alberta. I guess we're right on the same mountain line as Colorado and Phoenix and all that. So I'm about a
Yeah.
half an hour drive away and just scrolling through all your pictures because I don't know how many of your climbs are on there, but there was so many pictures to go through. I couldn't even do it in like half an hour.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I've done over 600 peaks above 13,000 feet, and I'm hiking almost every day. Now, my Instagram doesn't show that because at this point, it's boring to me to show the exact same peak 40 times in a row. It just is. So I'll be updating it starting next month with new peaks. I like the new ones because you can search through there, and there's some peaks I've done 13 times, some I've done 3 dozen times, but you can just scroll through and find those, or you can hashtag it and find those. That's not as exciting. I'm still hiking every day. It's just unless something really cool happens, I'm not going to post that same peak over and over and over again.
What's what's the strangest thing you've ever dropped off the side of a mountain?
Okay, well, I don't actually know. I'm okay. So I teach leave no trace. So I'm really good about attaching everything to my backpack. Anything that's not inside of it is attached by a carabiner to the outside. I don't lose stuff. Every once in a while, I will lose a bandana or handkerchief that's tied to my trekking pole, only if the winds are insane and it unties it. But I'm really good about not dropping stuff,
Have
mainly
you
because
I'm
I
sorry.
don't want that backlash from leave no trace. I don't leave stuff. I'm really good about making sure I've got everything with me. I take everything that I go in with, I take it all back.
So as far as like survival skills and that sort of thing, how do you think you fare on like those alone shows or Survivor?
Okay, I've been asked to be on several shows before. I would love the opportunity to do it. The problem is I have a really good job that I wouldn't want to leave in order to do it. I've been teaching outdoor survival skills for over 20 years. I teach wilderness first aid and Red Cross first aid. I've been doing it for a long time. I would love to go on one of those shows. And for my whole life, I've wanted to do that. I remember going to camp when I was in elementary school, going, I would so love to be dropped off in a helicopter with just a knife to see how long I would last. And this was in the 90s before they actually did that for TV, like before reality TV was even there. I
Yeah.
had the idea, we're like, that would be so cool to do that. It would depend on the show and the location. I have Raynaud's, so I don't do well with cold. So I could never do like Naked and Afraid or something because I have a really hard time doing body heat, keeping my body heat up. But if I had preparation, I'd love to do one of those kind of shows. And I think I'd do pretty well.
Yeah, I think you would as well. Um, your book, you wrote a book about your experiences without spoiling it. I know it's called The Wild Wanderer, but tell us about that.
Okay, so, and I actually have it here. I don't know if we're recording this for people to see, but
Yeah.
it is Wild Wanderer, soloing Colorado's 200 highest peaks. And I wrote that book because people asked me to. So I've got a blog where I have trip reports and I write down everything that happens on my trip and step-by-step instructions for how to get up mountains because a lot of the peaks I climb are just seldom climbed. So when I go out there, I take my camera and I jot down notes and I got mileage down there so that if anybody else wants to climb it, they have step-by-step instructions to get there. And on top of that, fun things happen, right? Like I have a marmot stuck in my car, or I come across porcupines, or there's a mountain lion out there, or I fall through a frozen lake, or something like that. And people are like, you need to put all those stories into a book. You need to put all those in there. So my book is pretty much going from knowing nothing or knowing very little and all the mistakes I made. And hopefully people can not make those mistakes to actually becoming a mountaineer and being really okay with my skills and knowing, you know what, I got this. I've been training. I've been working in a climbing gym and I know how to put ropes together and I know how to do this. And yeah, I'm solo and this is scary and there's a storm coming in, but I think I got this. kind of thing.
Do you ever have any near run-ins with like an avalanche?
Not near run-ins. I've taken Avi safety. I've taken, avalanche courses. I've been to places where an avalanche happened the night before. I've never been to one where it happened right there. I'm really good about checking topo maps and checking in Colorado. We have avalanche awareness danger, and we know when it's really high and when it's not. I will not go out if it's high. I will not go out if it's medium, like kind of thing. And I know how to change my route so that I won't get stuck in one just by looking at topo maps and where they're most likely to occur. I've seen cornices fall and I've seen a lot of stuff like that, but I've never been involved with one. And I'd like to think that's because of preparation beforehand, just knowing the conditions before I head out.
I did see a picture on your blog. I was having a look there. I had a staring contest with a coyote. Is that
With a what?
they had a staring contest with a coyote by the looks of it, or
Oh, a coyote. Yeah. Yeah, I was at a trailhead one time just this summer, and there was a coyote that was just sitting about 20 feet away from my truck. I will park at the trailhead. I'll get up in the morning. I'll sleep in the back of my truck. I kind of live out of the back of my truck when I'm mountaineering. It's nice and set up with a bed and food and a heater and a stove and all that kind of stuff. And I wake up and there's a pretty robust coyote. I mean, he's fluffed up and he's just watching me. And then I realize a few minutes later, he's not watching me. He's watching the girl next to me getting out of her car with the dog.
oh,
So the coyote was watching the dog. And this lady walks with her dog for a little bit, and then I hear her yelling and screaming. The coyote was hunting the dog, trying to get the dog. Like it saw the dog as food. It didn't see the owner as food, but it saw the dog as food. And she's yelling and screaming, and I'm in the front seat of my truck getting ready to go. And the only thing I have with me is my trekking pole. I run out there with my trekking pole and start yelling and screaming at this thing. And eventually he ran off, but he was pretty much hunting this girl's dog. And it wasn't a small dog. I mean, it was a golden retriever. It was a larger dog, and this coyote wanted it.
hmm. Did he
Yeah,
actually
so leash
attack
your
it, or he was
pets.
just checking it out?
Oh, he was going for it.
Yeah.
This coyote was absolutely going for it, which is another reason I say leash your pets, because if that pet hadn't been leashed, it would have gone after the coyote, and I don't know how that would have turned out. I mean, it could have won, but it would have probably been hurt at the same time. The only way that the coyote didn't get to the dog was because the owner was able to pull it in close and yell and scream, and then I was able to come up with my trekking pole and start, making myself look big. And it didn't hit the creature; it was enough to just scare it to move away. We're bigger than you. Go. Don't mess with this dog.
Yeah. Bit of a weird one here, but if you could pick any celebrity or person in the world to go hike any mountain with, who would you want to take along for that?
Oh gosh. Okay, so this is awful. This is gonna, like, I don't know, date me or something, but my favorite celebrity is Dolly Parton. All hands down. It's been Dolly Parton for a long time. I just love her. I think she's amazing and great. If it were to be a historical figure, I would say, Sacagawea. I would love to go hiking with her, somebody who's not alive anymore. Talk to her about how she, did the Lewis and Clark Trail and brought them across it when she was a teenager. That would be huge. But for a fun time, yeah, I'd like to spend some time with Dolly Parton
She
personally.
does a lot with children's books and libraries up here, and I guess
Yes,
all over
yes.
state. I kind of admire her too. So you didn't date yourself there because I'm right there with you.
Okay.
So,
I've loved her since I was in elementary school. I just think she's a good person and does good things and understands, like, I love homesteading, that lifestyle of that. I love that. I'm not too into the glitz and glam, but I love the just doing it for yourself. And she grew up with a lot of that.
so has there ever been a peak that you started and couldn't finish for whatever reason?
Oh, there have been several peaks that I've had to attempt multiple times. I've had a lot of failed attempts on peaks. And sometimes it's like weather comes in too early. I look at the weather forecast. It's not supposed to be until 3, but it starts coming in at noon and it's just lightning and it's not safe. So I come back down. There have been times where I get to where I need to climb. Climbing is usually the more difficult thing. And the beta I have, the information I have, is made because mountaineering is generally a man's sport by men that are over 6 feet tall and have a longer reach than I do. So I'll get there and I'll be looking up at where I'm supposed to reach and I can go as far as I can and it's a good 8 inches above me.
Hmm.
I can't I can't make that hold in order to climb up these mountains. And there's been times when I just didn't feel like I had the skills to climb up things. Turning around is always the best option. It is. You stay alive. The mountain will be there another day. It's always okay. I'll come back home. I'll do more research. I'll look at more topo maps. Is there a better way to reach the summit? And I found some doing it sometimes. Other times it's, you know what? I didn't have the skills. I need to go to a climbing gym and practice these skills in order to be able to summit these things. But it's happened many, many times. I'd say every year I probably have at least 10 failed summits. And I mean, at this point, all my failed summits I have summited now. It's just going back and learning what I need to know in order to make it happen, or doing more research or finding a different way, a safer way than how other people have done it before.
When you when you get to the top, like when you're done, how long do you stay up there? I've always wondered that. Like just sit back and soak it in, look at the view, that kind of stuff.
A lot of people do that. I don't. I get to the top, I'm excited. Sometimes I'll call family to let them know I'm safe. That doesn't usually last too long. I always take a 360-degree video of the summit just to kind of prove I'm up there and to show the conditions. I don't think I spend more than 5 minutes on any summit doing anything because once you hit the summit, that's only halfway. It's not really time to celebrate yet. It's time to celebrate when you make it back to your vehicle at wherever you parked. Like that's the time to celebrate because sometimes coming back down is more treacherous than going back up. So yeah, the summit is only halfway. That's not really a celebratory point for me. It's when I get back down, I'm like, yes, I did it. I'm safe. I'm good.
I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, a lot of people will like have a beer at the summit or, drink a shot of something. And to me, that's not smart because you have to have a clear head to get back down.
Hmm.
And if that was a 26-mile round trip hike, you're 13 miles in, you still have 13 miles out that you have to have a clear head for and make sure that you're not stumbling, falling, getting off route, that kind of thing.
So if there's someone out there listening that's maybe got it in the back of their head to try this, what would be your biggest tip to them or
I would say to do it. And one of the things I found most doing this, especially solo, was that my friends and family didn't want me to do it solo. They were afraid for me to go solo. And I learned through doing it that I'm not going to live my life through somebody else's fears. If I'm okay doing it, I'm trained. I'm wilderness first aid trained. I'm first aid trained. I've been backpacking for a long time. I know I have the skills to do it. I'm going to go do it. I'm not going to let somebody else being afraid for my safety keep me from doing it. I'll do it safely, but I'm not going to stay at home because my mom's scared I'm going to go out. I'll call her when I get back and tell her I'm okay. Right? Yeah. Go out there and try it.
I think I thought I remember reading this somewhere that you're the only female to do 13 mountains in Colorado. Was that the right number?
I'm the first female to solo the 58 14ers and the first female to solo the Centennials, which are the highest 100 peaks in the state, which are all over 13,800 feet. At this point, I've soloed over 600 peaks above 13,000 feet. I don't know anybody else that's done that. I'm not saying I'm the only one that's done it. I just don't know anybody else that's done that many. That's kind of my thing is that's what I do. I solo. I love to solo. I love to bring people too, but I love to go by myself the first time and figure it out for myself. Figure out the best way to do it. That's what makes me excited.
It's amazing. And now that I'm thinking about this, like a lot of my guests on here in the this podcast is more like mental health focused, but it's a lot like going through mental health struggles is a lot like climbing that mountain. And you just made me think of that when you get halfway there, the time to celebrate is when you finish, not when you're, I don't know. There's something there in my head that's
Yeah.
poetic, but
And climbing a mountain is very mental. It's physical, but it's mental. I mean, you get to a point where the air is thin and you can't breathe and you can see the summit and you're really excited. It is right there. It is so close. It's just another 10 minutes away. And you get there and then you realize that's not the summit. That's a false summit. The real summit is another half mile away and you've got to keep going. And that's where the mental comes in is you think this is the peak. You think you're there. And there are some peaks I do that have 4 or 5 false summits where you're just like, come on, I have done all this work and I am so close and I can see it. And you get there, you're like, oh man, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. I got to keep going. And that's where the mental comes in. You just have to keep yourself, I made it this far. I can keep going. It's right over that next hill. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's over the next 5 hills. It's not over that one. You can still kind of say, "Yay, I made it this far," but yet there's more to go. Got to keep
Yeah,
going.
the few times I watched the Alone show and there's someone in a tent, they got or their camp set up and they hear those animal noises or like or the coyote howls, it freaks me out. So I don't know,
Oh,
it's out of like the dead silence. I don't know, do you have music you're listening to when you're doing that, or is it completely?
I don't. Some people hike with music going on. I like to have all my senses around me. And I actually like it when I hear the coyotes howl because then I know where they are. And if they're yipping, it's usually because they've made a kill. And so they're doing their own thing off where I can hear them and they're happy and they're taking care of what they're taking care of. Coyotes kind of they hunt in a pack, but they hunt solo too. They'll all go solo, they'll kind of surround something, they'll catch something and they'll all go together.
Hmm.
So if they're making noises, I know I'm safe at that point. I feel better. I'm not really worried about coyotes. Coyotes have, I saw a coyote today. Not a big deal. I see them all the time. I'm not worried about them. I'm more worried about the things you don't hear,
Yeah.
like mountain lions. You're not going to hear them. They're just going to come get you. So always looking for tracks when I'm hiking and trying to see if they're anywhere around me. But I'm not. Coyotes are the easy ones. Those guys aren't going to hurt you.
I had a few episodes ago, I had a guest on. He's a Marine veteran who's completely blind, but he hikes mountains. So
Wow.
I'd love to have you chat with him after. He's got a podcast. I'm sure he wouldn't mind having you on as well.
That would be awesome because I mean, having one of your senses taken away is huge, and especially sight. I mean,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
I mean,
Yes.
obviously he doesn't solo, but still he's got guides. But just the fact that, he can't see and he still climbs mountains, it makes me feel pretty lazy about complaining about a leg cramp. You know?
It's very inspiring. It's very
Yeah.
inspiring. It's all mental too. I mean,
Yeah.
you can take that into everyday life. It is mental. You just have to put one foot in front of the other, or maybe you just have to make a checklist and do the hardest stuff first and get it done. I've taken mountaineering into the rest of my life in several different areas. It's hard, right? It's hard. The hardest part for me is getting out of bed. It's cold at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? That's the first step is getting out of bed. Just like the first step towards conquering something in your life is realizing you need to conquer it, and then baby steps. Just the first thing I got to do is get out of bed. Okay, I did that. What's next? Now I got to drive to the trailhead. Okay, it's still cold at the trailhead, right? It's still cold. I still don't want to get out of my car. The next thing is okay, you hike 2 miles, you're going to warm up. You do that, and then I'm in the groove. Same thing with even just paying bills. I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to pay bills. Getting on the computer is the first step. And then it's pulling up the website page, and then it's, doing stuff. There's a lot of ways in your life you can just be like, just mentally have to give yourself small goals and just keep going.
It's uh it's very inspirational, that's for sure. It's my favorite thing about doing this so far. I'm only 25 episodes in, but just hearing all these just regular people from all over, well, the US and Canada so far, and one guest in Tanzania, South Africa.
Oh,
But
nice.
yeah, I just love it. I love talking to people. It's very therapeutic for me as well. You're
Yeah,
in,
and you have a weight loss journey. So, like, what the hardest part was doing it the first time, right? Going in,
well,
or am I speaking for you? Is that wrong?
no, that's 100% right. The first time I took my first punch in a boxing ring for the first time in 30 years. And that was the strangest feeling because I'd never taken a punch. I've been in a few fights, but I've never taken a punch. So taking that first punch to the head, shaking it off and getting back in there, it's kind of like getting halfway up that mountain. And then just, you know what, this felt really weird. It's uncomfortable, but I'm going to keep going. And
Yeah.
just reading your story and talking to you and looking at these pictures, there's a lot of mini peaks where around me. Like it's called the foothills, like little mini mountains. So I think maybe I'll start there this summer. I'm going to try and see if my daughter and my girlfriend want to do that with me.
It can be life changing. It really can. And in fact, my husband will tell me, like, if I haven't hiked in a couple days, he'll look at me and he's like, "You need to hike. You need to get out there," because it gives me mental clarity. I'm a nicer person when I've been hiking. So when he tells me I need to hike, it's like, yeah, I need to get out there, clear my head, be out there in nature, and just accomplish something for myself.
So those 360 videos you mentioned, are those online on your anywhere?
They're on so every trip report I have will have a 360 video. And I started doing that because of LiDAR. I had the people working with LiDAR ask me to submit videos to help them figure out where the actual summit was. I
Nice.
don't know if you know what LiDAR is, but it's a way of like it's a topographic way of figuring out the highest points of things. But they didn't know if the highest point was a rock or maybe a cairn somebody had put up or a false summit or something like that. So the main reason I do that is so that they can accurately know that no, this is actually the summit or there's something else in the way. Sometimes there's buildings up there. Some of the really popular peaks will have buildings that are taller than the summit. And when they're trying to measure how high the summit is, they want to know the summit of the mountain, not the summit of the house on top of the mountain or the radio tower on top of the mountain or a cairn. Cairns can sometimes be like 10 feet tall. Like that's not the summit. The summit is the base of the cairn, not the top of the cairn. So yeah, every trip report I've done, I probably in the beginning I didn't do it so often before I really started making this a goal. And then I realized, oh, I should do this. And then people working with LiDAR asked me to do it because some of these peaks are so seldom climbed. They would like to know what's around it and is this the actual high point.
What's your bucket list mountain? The one that you've haven't done that you got to do.
I really want to do Aconcagua. That's a big one for me. And I'm going to South America, so we'll see if that one hits out. It's always a weather window with these kind of things. There's a lot. There's a lot of peaks. I mean, my bucket list is huge. I've got a binder that's like 4 inches thick of just my bucket list peaks to do. But that's one I'd really like to do in the next year or two.
It's unreal. So you're just no plans on stopping. This is as long as you can climb mountains, you're gonna keep doing it, it seems.
That's the goal. Yeah. Yeah, that's the goal. And right, my immediate goal, I have 88 13ers left to do in Colorado, and I would like to solo those as soon as possible. That's kind of my immediate goal, and then it's going to be what else is opened up to me to do. We'll see what where things take me, where money flows, where it comes into, because the international trips are hard. I can do the United States and Canada pretty easy, but anything international is a time commitment and a money commitment that's harder to come by.
Awesome. So with your book, where is that available if people want to check that out?
It's available on Amazon, which is pretty universal. It's available at Barnes and Noble. In Colorado, many of our local bookstores will have it, and it's available on my website, wildwanderertripreports.com. There's a button by the book that you can get it there too.
Okay, well, I'll put the links to all that, and if you want your Instagram on there, people can check out those videos. I'll put that all in the description as well.
Awesome, that would be great. And if they look anytime soon, they're going to see a lot of South America videos, not necessarily Colorado peaks, but I'm excited to see what South America has to offer.
Yeah, I'll certainly keep my eyes on that as well. I've got one last question for you. It's my silly little question I talked about. Um, a 100-meter dash. How many live pigeons do you think you could carry and have in your arms at the end of the race?
Well, how many may I given in the beginning? But I'm going to say, okay, so we raise poultry. I'm just going to throw that out there. So I could definitely do two without an issue because I can just carry them both in, by the feet like this. Otherwise, I would say maximum 7 or 8, but that's a
Okay.
realistic answer. That's a realistic answer after dealing. We raise pheasants, so like that's probably what I could do if I had to. I might not be running that fast. But if it was how many can I get across that finish line, I could probably do 7 or 8.
My last guest said she was going to put double-sided tape all over her shirts and kind of strap the pigeons to them and then put their arms around them. So her
Oh,
answer
but
was
that
150. So I don't know if there's,
feathers are coming off, and that's not, yeah, I'm thinking about just free carrying. How am I going to free carry these? I might be able to get two in each hand and a couple underneath. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's funny.
well, it was an honor speaking with you. It's inspirational to me. It's firing me up to try it. Maybe there's a course or something I could go take first and before
Yeah,
or start
absolutely.
with one of the little mountains first.
Yeah, and if you ever come to Colorado, I'd love to take you on a hike, you and your daughter on a hike. And my website does have a bunch of intro to hiking videos, how to
Oh,
stay
nice.
safe solo, how to, wild animal encounters or cold weather tips and all that kind of stuff. All short 5 to 7 minute videos. They're not anything too long, but especially it's geared towards new hikers to get them out there realizing that this is a really fun activity. It's a fun hobby. Get out there and do it.
Perfect. So everyone that's watching this, check the link in the description. I'm gonna put Laura's website up there, and that covers the book in there too. And does it have a link to your Instagram and everything as well all on that website?
it might not. I'm sure somewhere on there, probably the About Me section does,
Okay.
but Instagram is Laura_M_Clark. It's pretty easy.
Okay. I'll put that in the description as well, just in case. But
Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
thanks for coming on and chatting with me. And yeah, we'll follow your journey to South Africa as well. I'll update on the page. Well, if anyone's interested.
Okay, thank you. It was wonderful talking with you.
You as
Hope to
well.
talk to
Take care.
you.